Hello and welcome to another show from the Double Pivot Podcast. Normally we're on a Thursday, but today we're on a Friday. We thought we'd change it up a little bit. I'm FPL veteran, those who don't know me, and alongside me is FPL Discomfort. Kieran, again, we've hardly spoke this week because we've been rammers, I've been ill, you've been doing loads of stuff. How have you been, mate? How's things?
Yeah, not too bad. Exactly what you said, mate. It's busy week. There was
Very.
some football to entertain us midweek, or pretty much every day this week, right? With
Mm,
the
mm.
Prem not finishing till Monday, then Champions League. So yeah, a bit of a busy one, but been good. I've not been unwell. Sorry to hear you have, mate. But how are you feeling now?
Ah, yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, drugs will do wonders. Now it's been all right. I don't normally get ill, touch wood, but nah, I'm on the road to recovery. And even if I wasn't curing, the pod would still go ahead. If I was on the deathbed, I would still crawl out, bring the covers off, and do it. If I do it from my bed, I do it from my bed. Wouldn't bother me. But no, it's been a good week. Like you're saying, we get to this period kind of a little bit before Christmas where the football starts ramping up and stepping up. And I kind of like it. It brings a lot of carnage, like you say, midweek. Kind of feeds into what we've been saying, well, especially myself on Man City. Yeah, looking a little bit light, but we will get to that. But yeah, on that, and again, we'll get to both of our teams. Um, yeah, it's been going, if we can say that. But
It's
apart from
been
that,
going.
yeah, it's been good. It's been good. But we'll have a slightly shorter pod today. We normally ramble on for about an hour and a half, but today it will be under an hour. We promise you. We promise it will be in under an hour. And with that, Kieran, let's kick off, mate. What we're going into first.
Well,
Probably the
I
results.
would say that we're going to go into the results, but I've realised I've not actually uploaded that slide. So I think what we'll do,
Okay.
Shane, before we go into the results, is probably like we might as well jump into last week game week scores, and I'm going to skip ahead to your one
Yes.
because then it gives me time to just finish this
Oh
slide
God.
correctly.
Oh,
Um,
I don't think I've done that well thinking back.
you
But
don't
we'll
think you
see.
did that well? Okay, well I'm hoping your slide number two. So yeah, talk us through your team, Shane, while I just sort of finalise this other slide.
So, for those that are listening on the podcast, I got 40 points, average is 39. Little red arrow, so probably not the best. However, we were talking about this the other day. Kieran was on a fantastic pod. He was on Steve-O's pod, FPL, FPL Elite. If you've not listened to it, go back and listen to it. Genuinely, people think is a pod with Kieran. I'll say this, genuinely one of the best pods I've heard this year. Honestly, it's fantastic. Talk through everything, all their team. Anyway, what they're saying is a bit of mental health in there. What I do is I don't really look uh, at the how much I go up or down during the week. I just look for red or green arrow, and it's 10 times better. So if you've not done that, try that. It definitely improves you. However, still got red arrow, which isn't the best. Raya at the back, three. Yeah, well, one save point. That's pretty much the highlight of my defensive line, Kieran, which does not bode well for the team. King Keen, he only got 1 point, unfortunately. Everton got beat. A little bit of a shocker. Alexander Arnold still not doing anything really for a lot of money, so I'm thinking about maybe moving him. Rico Lewis, I mean, Man City continue to just take the biscuit. Really, they've only kept 2 clean sheets all season, but not many others are really. 1 point, and Consa was 0 points. So big fan of that. Yellow card, conceded 4 goals in the end, I think. Yeah, not what you need. Midfield's been a bit better for me, but still wasn't that good this week. Buenanotti always gets a yellow, which I've noticed, Kieran, which I feel like there's a red card coming soon for him. And Buemo, Palmer, both with blanks, but a clean sheet. Saka with two, obviously didn't keep a clean sheet to Kieran's Muse. And really, my team, if we say my team, is basically Salah this week. 18 points. Was my captain. Cunha up top, though, he chipped in. He got a goal, which is good. Maybe because he got
He
another
didn't get
one.
a goal. Don't try and claim he got a goal.
Hey, the points are there. It's staying.
He got an
And
assist.
then,
He got an assist,
yeah.
and
Oh,
he got a
sorry, he did
bonus
get
point.
assists. Sorry, he did. Yeah, sorry, he did. Um, yeah, he did. Yeah, my bad. Just as good as a goal. It's just as good as
No,
a goal.
oh,
On the bench, Fabianski, which is good. At least he's starting now. Evan Nielsen. And the other week, I was even thinking, I was like, oh, I don't have some big stars in. Shall I just play Semenyo and Evan Nielsen? Nah, I took Semenyo out. Benched Evan Nielsen. That's my fault for playing four at the back. Robertson, who's a massive problem in the team now, doesn't play, and Ross Stewart, who's injured. So All in all, Kieran.
It was over the average. It was over the average, and it was like you said. It's Salah, right? Salah and Cunha got you returns, and
Wait, Ryan.
together they.
Ryan got me a save point.
Mm.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, maybe I should be claiming stuff like that because look, I'm going to make you feel a lot better, Shane.
I've not even seen this, by the way. For like, I even said pre, what did you get? And I don't even know yet. So, here we go. I'm not feeling that well,
I
so
got.
hopefully this makes me better.
But we'll put it this way: my top
Oh,
scoring
wow.
players were Robert Sanchez, who got 3 points,
Which is never good from Sanchez.
and Brian Mbumo, who got 3 points. I got no returns in my team. It reads like someone who, yeah, I don't understand it. It was one of those weeks where I honestly think if I went into a betting shop and said I want to bet on every single one of these players to fail to score or get an assist or get a clean sheet, I'd probably be a wealthy man today. And that is the swings that you get in games like this. So yeah, I look. The good news is, and it's cut off, but actually my bench players didn't outscore any of my players I started either. So it's solitude. I didn't bench anyone
All
who would have got
round.
me points.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was literally a non-scoring
I
team.
love how you're trying to find that. Like, how can I look at this and see? I didn't bench anyone who got more than 3 points, so that's
There
a
we are.
win.
And I only got the wrong captaincy by 1 point. So, it's not the end of the world. Close captaincy choices in my team. But yeah, look, just to run through it. Sanchez, fine with him as a choice. Mikalenko was on for a clean sheet until he wasn't. 8 Nuri, look, it's Wolves. Wolves are awful. I don't think they'll keep any clean sheets, but, he's got as good a chance of getting an attacking return as any of their other awful players.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's so
Trent,
high. He's so high, isn't he?
yeah. Trent's just staying in because I've made my bed with him. Foden, the funny thing is, the reason Foden's not got points is because Haaland's failing to score.
Yeah.
Foden is setting up every single one of those chances, and Haaland's
Agreed.
just missing them. So the two of them as a double up could have absolutely hauled over the last couple of weeks, but they haven't. Mbumo and Vista both stayed quiet this week. McNeil stayed quiet. Liam Delap stayed quiet, and Cole Palmer stayed quiet. So yeah, not the greatest week in the world, but like I said on the Steve-O podcast, it's fine. Close the app, get on with your life for a few days, and move on, and hope that if you have this much not going your way one week, maybe it can all go your way the other week. And it is sort of just going with that and managing your expectations. That you'll be happy to know I have
Exactly.
now got the results up, Shane. And it's safe to say it wasn't a good week for you.
We
Um,
normally do pretty well. Well, actually, you done really well. I normally do all right. You were saying on the pod, actually, I have to thank you for that. You were like, Shane's predictions are actually normally quite good. And
yeah,
then you jinx me, and now I hardly get any right.
literally on what I've just said about my team. If someone went and looked at your bets and bet on the opposite result in every single one of them, they would have won 9 out of 10. So
Oh God.
put it this way. I'm going to say last week was a massive anomaly, just full stop, right?
Yeah,
Because
it was.
looking at some of the results, looking at like FPL players returning and those that aren't, like when Spurs players start getting returns, players like Dominic Solanke, it's a fluky week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, when he starts banging and goes in a sesh, I've had a nightmare here.
But yeah, look, just to run through them, I've marked myself incorrect for Ipswich Leicester, but I actually got that as a correct result. So I've done myself a disservice there because that was that was a 1-1 draw, and I went with 2-2. We both predicted Liverpool to win, and they did sneak by. Um, Neither of us saw Bournemouth beating City, but you thought it could be a draw, and I remember you saying that, Shane.
Do you know what? Even yeah. Thank you for that. Even though I've had a terrible week as predictions, which, by the way, if you listen for the first time or watching, come back next week because normally we are actually pretty on the ball. But I stopped short because I was thinking in my head, I was like 2-1 Bournemouth. I was like, that's a bit much. But listen, all the signs were there, mate. All the signs were there. Like I said, City have been light in mid and in defence, and they're not playing very well. Bournemouth is doing. I mean, like you're saying about Areola, mate. What a manager! Even I underrated. I thought he'd done well, but he's done fantastic. He's turned that team. It's at one point he was looking at the sack, so he's done really, really well to turn that team around. But yeah, I stopped short of 1-1. But I
Well,
watched the
yeah,
game. It
because
was a
I
great
was
game.
going to say, like, you did see an upset. Like, I will come back and just point out you did get the result wrong still. So,
I did. Just whisper that.
Yeah. No, look, you did see it as a difficult one, and I think we are now having to start take a bit more note of Bournemouth, right? Because that's Arsenal, that's City. They're a
Well,
well-run team.
home though, I suppose. Away, they are a completely different team. But yeah, definitely home.
No, exactly. Other results in there, I guess. Look, what other results surprised you last week, or similarly, which ones impressed you? And don't worry, you don't have
Arsenal.
to rush and say me getting the Wolves and Palace score completely spot on is the one
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
I know.
pushing
Yeah,
for.
well done for that, by the way. Yeah, if anyone's listening on the pod, go and have a look at the YouTube one. He did do really well, especially the 2-2. That was a great show. Do you know the one I actually seen? Not because you're an Arsenal fan, mate. Is the Newcastle Arsenal? I was waiting for an Arsenal goal all day. Don't get me wrong, Newcastle Arsenal, they're always tough games. Look at over the years. I think they had a 4-4, didn't they? Newcastle were 4-0 down at one point. They came back and they drew. So there's always tough games, but I expect Arsenal to do more, mate. I really did. I know you got a few injuries, but Newcastle haven't been playing
It's
the best.
do you know what? It's for me, you saw it in the Champions League again against Inter Milan.
Yeah,
And the difference maker in that game and when Arsenal started to look more threatening was when you brought that creative talent on in the middle of the pitch in Ethan Ranieri. Now he's only 17, but by going into games like this with a midfield three of Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and Mikel Merino, you've got a lot of strength there. You've got a lot of control of the ball. You've got decent, what should be top, but it hasn't been, ball and duel winning abilities, but you've got limited creativity. And if you're then
yeah,
relying on your creativity to come from wide players, that enables teams to double up on that a bit easier. And it means when those wide players look to move the ball around into better positions, they're moving it centrally to players who aren't that creative.
yeah,
So it's just slower and is like the Inter Milan game as an example does demonstrate some hypocrisy where Inter Milan have like 20% possession in the second half, and Arsenal have 46 crosses into their box and multiple shots, etc. People go, "Wow, what an amazing defensive performance from Inter!" But when other teams do it, you go, "Oh, yo, look at them sitting back and defending." It is different when we're talking about that kind of football. But again, there wasn't anything there where there was something super threatening. So Arsenal still have that ability to dominate teams and control the game, but they don't have that piece is missing. But look,
yeah.
Odegaard should be back. He should be back relatively soon. I just wish
Well,
we
he
played
came
more
on. He came
Ranieri
on the other day, didn't he, for a few minutes, right?
because
Came on for a
Kai
few
was
minutes at the end.
bleeding from his head. Yeah, yeah.
Just a wee shout out to everyone joining us today on Friday. Alf, Roberto, Onions as well.
Massive
All the
shout
big
out to
hitters,
Alf.
mate.
Have you noticed Alf is hit day 16 in a row of his FPL today
Is he
now?
on 16? Mate, I
16.
feel like I've been asleep ill for about 10 days. So I usually speak to Alf most days. So miss you, Alf.
He
Same with
really
Roberto,
is.
Onions. That's smashing it, mate. 16 days. And especially with a young kid. I
Well,
know
this is
the
what I was going to
struggle,
say.
mate.
Like,
It's
he's really hoping that having a child now with his partner means that she'll continue to tolerate this and that her toleration levels have gone up
I
because
know.
you know,
I know,
no,
yeah.
no child, I think, he'd be divorced by now. You're like, oh, darling, I'm just going to go do day 27 of
I know.
the FPL season.
Big Reedy as well. He's joining us, mate. How you doing? And yeah, it's yes, mate. 16 days in a row,
Fair
commitment. I
play.
think he's going for a month, right?
We can't even do the same day each week, and he's managed to do 16 days in a row.
To be fair, this is the first day where I've changed it due to. I'll take the blame on this one. I'll take the blame for the for the black lung. But no, it's
Shane
if you don't
had
follow Alf.
zero internet ability yesterday. He messaged
Oh,
me
I
going,
know,
"Oh, can
yeah.
we do it this time?" I'm like, no problem. Then he's
And I
like,
know
"Oh,
what you're thinking. Is that because I live in Scotland? I'm actually in England right now, so back at you. But no, if you don't follow Alf, definitely go and follow him. Same with Roberto, fantastic pod. Same with Reedy, him and his pod.
just to
I'll be
clarify as
joining
well, in
Reedy at
case
some
anyone's
point.
wondering, the reason why Shane was unable to connect to the internet when he came into England is he wasn't aware of Wi-Fi. He was used to getting his cable out and getting the router and plugging it all into his devices. So I had to sort of bring him up to speed with what Wi-Fi was. And unfortunately, he had to sleep on that. He was a little bit scared of the tech, but we're here today. We're here today.
Yeah,
But
that's
any
it.
other games in here? Spurs, I don't really want to talk about them.
Nah, I mean, listen, they can do that. You can see that they can do that every single game. It's either, I wouldn't say it's all or nothing, but you don't know you don't know what they're going to do. Like midweek, I think it finished 3-2. They got beat by Galatasaray at one point. They were 3-1 down. They were getting battered. And in this game, they scored a lot of goals and won the game. And like Ange says, that's the way he plays. You're never going to get a really in between, or not often. You're not really going to get like a 0-0 or a close fought 1-0.
And I think, look, if you want really good analysis on Spurs, then tune into the Above Average FPL podcast. I had one yesterday with Chai. Definitely will give you.
Oh, Chai was.
He was on it. So 3 Spurs fans. I didn't watch it live because there's only so much I can tolerate. It has to be in doses. That much Spurs bias has to sort of be slight doses in there. I need to go and do something else. I need to go for a walk to calm down. I need to remember that we're all allowed to dream sometimes. And then I can go back and continue to watch. But it was fantastic apart from that. But yeah, if you want any of the Spurs stuff, but look, they do highlight some great points about Spurs players. So definitely they will give you more insights than I ever will with regards to Spurs players. Any other ones in here?
Just a wee shout out to Alf, actually. Thank you very much for joining us. Onions, I like this one. And he's right. 365 for a Costa Coffee. What kind of Scotsman are you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What I should have done is lied and just say it's an old cup and I'm just reusing it. But no, on the pod we've got to put the money out. In terms of games, mate, nah, not really. The Fulham Brentford. I feel sorry for the Flecken owners, the hard fought Flecken owners that for ages were like, oh, he's not doing much. I'll keep him. And I was like, he's smashing his head. What was he on for? A 10-pointer.
Yeah.
On for 10, and then they conceded 2 in 2 minutes. So it was a bit unfortunate. But no, apart from that, that was probably the biggest one. Liverpool looks set to be back on track. Actually, Everton. The Everton game. I was quite surprised. 1, to not score, and 2, to get beat. All right, yeah, they're away from home. Yeah, whatever. But that's a big loss.
I really see. That's the one I remember on the predictions. I really wanted to go for Southampton to win that, but what drove me into predicting
you were saying about that.
And the thing is, your bias comes into it. The fact that I owned Dwight McNeil made me then want Everton to score and therefore predict that they would score. Whereas, and look, this is the point I'm going to make because we are going to move on to the fixtures for this week, right? But once again, Crystal Palace played a game and they did not win the game. Sorry, Wolves played a game and once again, Wolves did not win, right? Which we were saying, Shane, before the Brighton game, the conversations were Wolves fixtures get better. And my argument was they're going to have to start winning games if they want their manager to stay. And we are now in the stage where we're at 21 games now with 1 win in that period in the Prem. And we're looking at teams like Southampton and saying, well, that'll be a good game for them. And as I said, Southampton will look at a game like Wolves and go, that's a good game for us, like they did to Everton. So but 2 teams still haven't won a game yet in the Premier League. It's Ipswich and it's Wolves. So will either of them do better this week? Well, look, let's jump into a bit of the fixtures.
That's a great stat. I didn't even know that. Yeah, I mean, Ipswich have picked up quite a few draws, but like you said in your few pods, mate, a draw's a draw. Doesn't. Yeah. Well, what's 1 point between relegation candidates? Not much. Yes, talk to me about the short matchup, mate.
So yeah, I guess look, just to kind of run through for people today, we've only got 4 slides to run through, and it's going to be a combination of different things, but each area is rated 1 to 20. So for shots for, the team that has the most shots will be ranked number 1, which is Manchester City, and the team that has the least will be ranked number 20. And what we're hoping to see here is that a team has a lot of shots for, and they're playing a team that allows a lot of shots against. And to be honest here, Shane, when you're looking at it, Tottenham does look pretty good against Ipswich. Tottenham rate second for taking shots, and they're up against a team that allow the 15th most shots. So it's not a bad game for them. So again, this is just looking at some of the higher level stuff. And you look at the games and you look at Southampton versus Wolves, or Wolves versus Southampton, rather.
Jesus. Yeah.
They both allow a lot of shots, but neither of them take many.
It's either going to be a really, really good game like a 5-3 or just like a 0-0, like one shot on target.
It's crazy looking at some of these. And look, I guess when I do look at it, the Brentford v Bournemouth game, Bournemouth rank 4th in the league for shots, and Brentford are 16th for shots allowed. So we do have quite a nice matchup there.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be a good one. Man United as well. That kind of jumps out a little bit.
Yep, Man United against Leicester. Really, really good one actually there.
And we actually go on.
It's Rue's last game. And Man
Terrible
United
manager. Unbeaten. He's unbeaten, isn't he?
Well, it's not just that he's unbeaten, right? Let's just go through something on here, Shane, because I think this is the important thing. Now, you know that I don't care about certain things like preseason, etc., etc. Or not that I don't. Well, no, I don't care. I was going to try and say,
I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't care. And I don't put weight on it, and I don't care. But Ten Hag was sacked after the West Ham game, right?
And by the way, can I just? Sorry, button here, but what I want to say, this is my, along with another amazing prediction that I made the night before last, American elections.
Let's not go into that on this pod.
Yeah, we don't go into that. But I did say that Ten Hag would go within 10 games. And he went in 9. He went in 9, which at the time people were like, nah, they'll stick with him for the season. So I'm going to take that as a win.
Well, that's a massive win. And actually, what was funny is I was on FPL Juice doing the predictions against Rupert, FPL Casual, and he predicted that West Ham would beat Man United and Ten Hag would be sacked as his prediction.
Wowzer!
Yeah,
now that's
That is like I'll try and actually video clip that and send it to him because that was.
He loves a good prediction, old Rupert. Top guy, by the way. If you don't follow, go and follow Semi Casual.
Yeah, to your point, they won yesterday 2-0 against PAOK. They drew against Chelsea, but here's the one that's interesting. They played Leicester in the League Cup, and they won 5-2.
Of course they did.
And they're now playing Leicester. And this was so Rude's first game in charge of them was against Leicester, and his last game in charge of them is against Leicester. Both games at home.
That'll be for the ages. That'll be a quiz question. What manager started against Leicester, finished against Leicester, only played 3 games and never lost a game? So do you know what I mean?
It'll be 4.
Oh, sorry, 4 games. Yeah. But even without that, I completely forgot they actually beat them in the cup. But I don't know. I like that. I like that matchup, and obviously using a short matchup we've been using for a few game weeks now that you set up, which is fantastic, by the way, and just gives you an overall, like a kinesthetic view, just an easy view. I quite like that fixture, and there's a lot of people jumping on United for that reason.
The things that I find interesting here, and it surprised me, but Man City have now gone to conceding the least amount of shots against them. Which, the reason why I find that surprising is because they don't have the least amount of goals conceded. So Man City have conceded the least amount of shots.
Yeah.
But have conceded 11 goals.
Yeah.
Now that is
point, actually.
That is the same as Spurs. But it's more than Liverpool and, well, I guess I'll ask you, which team has conceded the second least amount of goals this season?
I don't know. I was looking the other day because it was Liverpool. Arsenal?
Nope.
So I had to go on. Tell me.
You might not be able to see it. There might be a lot of trees in the way.
I'm Kieran. Come on, don't make me think.
Where would you find a lot of trees, Shane?
In the forest. Oh, okay, yeah. See, got you. Oh God, yeah. Not for yeah. I suppose. Yeah.
Forest have conceded 7 goals, but they've allowed the 9th most amount of shots. Now, again, look, this is just shots. This isn't about the accuracy of the shots, but this is just the really high level data. If we move into it, so the next one is this. Hopefully, should give us a bit of a picture about, and it's a bit busier, so bear with it. But this should give us a bit more of a picture about where the shots are taken from, whether it's the left, the middle, or the right-hand side, and where teams are conceding the shots from. Now, for the purpose of the visual, for anyone who does jump onto this, when I say the shots allowed from on the left, it's actually that team's right-hand side, but it's so the left and left match up with each other. So it would be the defensive right-hand side of Bournemouth, for example, but we're looking at how we'd attack. So we'd be attacking the Brentford left. We wouldn't, because Brentford have had the 19th most amount of shots from the left and the 19th most amount of shots from the right. So we definitely wouldn't be going near that. But in this instance, we're looking to see Green on the right-hand side of it for the shots
Yeah.
allowed from, and we're also looking for that Green to match up with Green on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So, again, one that jumps out to me straight away here, because we were talking about Nottingham Forest, is Nottingham Forest's left-hand side against Newcastle's right-hand side. So it would be Newcastle's left-hand side, right? So where it says got the 18.
Yeah, yeah.
So Newcastle take the second, Forest take the second most amount of shots from their left, and Newcastle have allowed the 18th most amount of shots from what would be defending on the side that Newcastle are attacking.
Yeah,
Forest are attacking.
yeah, so simple. Just look at the first two columns in each
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, but and
I
yeah,
need
that
to
seems a
label
good
them the other
matchup.
way round. Actually, I needed to say right, middle, left to stop confusing it. I didn't change
No,
the
that's
headings, but
it's quite stark. These two tables, mate, I love, and I've been keeping, like I said, I've been keeping my tally throughout which match of the day, and then I'll have these kind of things. I'll have like left, middle, right, and stuff. But
but
again,
you
this is
see,
just a good overall view for you, you know.
now look, the goated thing that we're looking for in one of these is to see a 1 matched up with a 20. Can you
hmm
find it?
For maximum value, we would go. Well, actually, there's not many 20s, is there?
There's 3
Are we-
on the right hand side. Yeah.
Brentford? No.
No.
Go and tell me. I actually, hanging
Man
on me.
United on the left. Man United take the most amount of shots from their left hand side,
Seen.
and Leicester have allowed the most amount of shots from that side.
See, this is
So
backing us up. You know what I mean? What we
this
think
is the
backs us
case where
up.
whoever is playing on that left against Leicester this week, whether it's Rashford, whether it's Garnacho, whether it's Dallo cutting in from the left back position,
Just about to say that. Yeah, and that's yes,
it's my
yes, yes,
favorite.
yes, yes, yes.
It's literally my favorite matchup this week. Like, it's just one where, wow, in terms of the upside potential there, it could be really, really, really good.
I think I'm taking a hit. Like we're going to teams near the end, but I think I'm going to take a hit to bring Dallo in because I've been looking at shot map this week and
Do you know what?
it
I'm,
kind
I'm
of
actually taking this all back. I've definitely done this wrong again today when I was rushing to do it.
yeah
That one actually. So yeah, no, we need to read it the other way around. So left matches up with right. By the way, the reason why I've
yeah
just verified that when I was looking at it is we know that Spurs are fantastic down the Brennan Johnson's side,
yes,
and we also know that Ipswich concede the most amount of chances down Leif Davis's side.
which is a left. Yeah,
Yeah, so I've got them the wrong way around here quite clearly, because the right would line up with the left there. The 1 and the 18 would line up perfectly, whereas the 1
yeah.
and the 2 isn't correct because that's the opposite side of it. So actually, yeah, I take that back. It's actually the 1 for Man United is up against a 13 for Leicester. So still not bad,
Still
not
good.
as
Yeah,
good. The right hand side could be really good, but similarly, even though Man United haven't been that great through the middle, ranking 14th, when Leicester are the worst team for allowing shots from there, it could be good for Bruno and Hoyland.
and even though, like you were saying, we first of all, obviously we sorted it now. You know, you know, it's on the right hand side for linking up right and left. Pereira is Leicester's right back, and he's been playing terrible, and the fans have been calling for him to get changed. So even though he's only ranked 13th, it wasn't the 20th what we thought. Still, I think Dallo's still going to come in for me, and I think he's got huge upside because he always seems to pop up, even in Europe as well. He always pop up with a wee goal, and his finishing's actually pretty good. I can remember he always bangs in a lot of screamers. So, like you're saying, it's Amarin's first game. Oh, will it be Amarin's first game?
Mm.
No,
No, next one is it's Rude's final game.
next one. Yeah, Rude's final game. So, but I'm sure he'll have a little bit of input in there, and either if not, you'll probably have him in time. So
Do you
it
know what
still
my
looks a good
favorite?
matchup.
I was going to say, do you know what my favorite? It's actually my least favorite thing on this entire chart is
Mhm.
there is a team that until you see this, you never would have guessed takes the
Or
least
he's-
amount of shots from a side of the pitch. Arsenal rank 20th for shots taken from the left hand side. 20th. Last.
Mhm.
Every other team takes more shots from the left than Arsenal. Now that's worrying.
Yeah.
And what's also worrying when you look at it is if you look above that, Chelsea ranked second for taking shots from their right hand side,
I,
and Arsenal are 15th for allowing shots from their left.
you know, it's something actually when you were talking earlier. I seen that there when I was looking down. I was like, is that right? So I had to relook. I was like, game this weekend could be quite tasty. But yeah, I think on a bit of an Arsenal note, I think. Listen, I still stand by Arsenal. I still think they will win the league. But this period that we're in now is it's big, and I know, you know, I would say not got as big a squad as City, but City I really, really like. The key, you know, if Odegaard comes back, and did Declan Rice set out the other day in Europe? He did, didn't he?
He did because he's got a broken toe.
Nah, he's worried. He'll get back in. You know, if you
He'll
can get him
play this
back
one
in,
and then he'll skip the internationals, hopefully.
yeah, I still think you win the league. But like I'm saying, this is an important period that you have to get through. But yeah, I love these stats. I love these. If you're watching on the pod, I mean, I enjoy watching pods as well. Listen to pods, but you have to look at these tables because they're really, really good. What's the stat? I like it. Hit my eyes with more
But
stats.
this is where the shots are being taken from, right? Because again, we want to see certain teams where maybe they're allowing a lot of shots from in and around the 6 yard box and where they could be coming from. And
Yeah,
actually, on that note, like, and this one, I've used the total numbers of it because some of them are just so close that if I did it by ranking 1 to 20, it wouldn't have quite the same things. So instead,
yeah,
they are color coded. So you are kind of looking for green on the left hand side of the boxes to match up with something that's red on the right hand side of the boxes
yeah.
or
Same.
closer to red. And
Yeah,
actually, when we look at that, both Man U and Leicester allow more than most other teams shots in the 6 yard box. And Leicester rank not that great for it, and neither do Man United for taking them. So it's kind of an interesting one where maybe that indicates that they're not that great at defending set pieces, or they allow cutbacks to strikers like well, we know teams like United etc. do, but this one really doesn't, unfortunately, from what I can see, highlight anything that would give you too much hope or excitement. It does show that Man City take lots and lots and lots of shots, and surprisingly, Fulham have a lot of shots from inside the 18-yard box with 101, same as Spurs.
mhm.
So they're having the same amount of shots in the box as Tottenham are right now, and only 3 less than Manchester City, which
Yes, yeah,
pretty impressive. But similarly, what I do like to look at are teams that, to an extent, if you're not allowed, in an ideal world, you want to see a team allowing more shots or a lot of shots outside the box compared to inside, because that's indicative of just having a good low block type of defensive line.
mhm.
Honestly, actually looking back at this one, I don't think there is anything that's jumping out too much for me where the Reds are lining up with any greens or anything like that.
I
Maybe
like
Bournemouth
that.
against Brentford again.
Yeah, I just pinged there. Yeah, Bournemouth let a lot from the same position that Brentford shoot. City as well. City Brighton in the 18-yard box. City take 104 and Brighton have like 88, which is pretty high, which is one of the highest actually. So I could see
Again,
Foden. You know, if he held on to Foden, I can see him doing something. Although, say, listen, City. I mean, we'll come on. You know, in fact, let's chat about it now. I'm kind of enjoying a little bit of the slight downfall of City, and something I've been saying. Not arguing, more debating with people at the start of the season. Listen, things always change, and City can't go on winning and winning and winning. Granted, they've won it quite a lot of times, but the squad, I've said from the start, we were talking at first pod, even pre-season, Kieran, they're so light in midfield. Who are you bringing on to change the game? Before, what, Doku, Grealish, Savinho's all right, but they are too light. They bought Gundogan back on a free. Fantastic player still, but, you know, bring him back, but you need someone else. Up top, who you got? Haaland? All right, don't get me wrong. He's fantastic. Before I get attacked, he is fantastic. But who else have you got to say he does get injured or whatever? You know, before you had Alvarez, who's smashing it, over in Spain. That was huge to let him go. You know, do you think we're kind of seeing a big shift in what people are thinking for the rest of the season, or do you think they're going to recover from this? And it showed you against Sporting. Um, they battered them. If anyone didn't see Champ League during the week, they battered them 4-1. Sporting battered City 4-1, which is
true.
hammering as well. Was it 3-1?
No, I
Oh
can't
yeah, it
remember
was
it
4-1.
now.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
4-1. So, do you think this is a showing that City aren't as strong as they have been in the past, or do you think it's just a blip?
Um, I think there's clearly an impact when they lose Rodri, right? Which we can just expect to happen because he just gives the confidence to all of the other players that they can play a bit more free. He also, the amount of times last season, there's a reason why he scored as many goals as he did. And we've seen that that's what they've been lacking this season, where they've been reliant on other players taking those shots that Rodri did. But those players aren't as good as Rodri at taking those shots. So I think
Mhm.
that's where they've just run into problems quite frequently. So yeah, I genuinely think there's so many issues with every team apart from Liverpool right now, right? Like Liverpool are the only ones who seem to have their stuff together, and you've got to give credit to Arnie Slot for the way that he's come in. Like currently top of the Premier League and top of the Champions League as well for Arnie Slot, which is super impressive. Now, what I will say is, while it is impressive and he is a great manager, we don't need to make comparisons to a Mikel Arteta or anything like that and the situation they've gone into because, again, like Klopp left Liverpool in such a strong position with the unity between fans, the quality of the players, not the same as the situation that Arsenal were in when Arteta came in at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's different battles to fight, but credit to Arnie Slot for what he's done with that Liverpool side. That they just have been impressive. And again, for me, I keep seeing parallels between this season and the Leicester season. And
Good.
I have this sneaky suspicion that like we may be sleeping on Forest.
Like, but absolute throwback. I like
So,
that.
so look, let me just go through this with you, okay? Because Forest are third in the league, scored 14, conceded 7, right? In that run, they have beaten Liverpool at Anfield. So, in fact, the only
Did
game
you?
Liverpool have lost this season was Forest, and that was at Anfield.
Do you know what's funny, Kieran? Right. Like obviously we've been friends for a while anyway before we decided to do this pod, right? And we often have parallel or completely opposite views, right? Normally quite opposite. And that's what makes the pod good. But there's sometimes that we're thinking exactly the same. We've not spoke all week, and I've felt exactly the same, right? But I mean, it's not like a Leicester season in terms of I think we're sleeping on Liverpool because City and Arsenal, don't get me wrong, they're still playing well and they still will play well, and
Yeah, but I
Liverpool in the
expect
background.
Liverpool, like we predicted Liverpool
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
there.
I just mean, or even someone to mount I mean, I didn't think of Forest to
But
mount a title, but you never know, mate.
why not? Where would
Exactly.
you say Forest a week?
Well, this season there's not many. You know, they're third in the league right now.
Yeah.
And which I earmarked them to be. Well, I don't even look back at the predictions. I think I had them down as like maybe 14th or something like that. We should look back actually at mid-season and see how we're getting on. But I know what you mean. Is that kind of season where we're a bit transitiony.
Now
City
look,
aren't doing what they
I don't
should.
think
And
they will, and if I'm not mistaken, they're still well over like
no, of
100 to
course,
1
but
type of odds of doing it. But it I don't think they're necessarily going to start dropping away. I think that they're going to be
maybe if
in and
European
around the
7, 8.
Champions League, Europa League spots come the new year. And it'll be interesting to see what happens thereafter. But, as things get congested for all the other teams in Europe, they don't
Mhm.
have that. So there are
Yeah,
a few things that do work in their favour. Now, again, at no point do I actually believe Forest are going to win the league. But I do
no,
think
of
that
course.
they're going to be interfering with how the table looks for longer than people want or expect. Not necessarily want, but let's say expect.
But like you said, yeah, it's a bit of a different. And I think everyone's got their eye on City, Arsenal. I still think Arsenal will win the league, but I think yeah, people need to start looking at Liverpool. You know, top of the table, motoring in the Champ League. They played Diaz as 9 the other day, didn't they?
Hmm.
In the Champ League, and I mean, I don't. They might try it in FPL, FPL in the Premier League, and if they do, I think what you got a hat trick. I think Salah got 2 assists, So that front three looks good. So he might try that. And I was kind of looking at bringing him in maybe. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird season, which is good. Different surprise, plenty of surprises, and it's not just a boring City are winning, which you of all people, Kieran, are not a fan of as an Arsenal fan. But
I
yeah,
don't
is
think
there anything
anyone's
else that you
a fan of
see?
that either, are they? Like, no one wants to see
Yeah,
the same thing each week. We all want to see something a little bit different
yeah, that's
each
it.
season.
Is there anything else you see from this table that's
Not
kind of
particularly from this one, but look, let's move on to the goals scored and where the goals are scored from, because this one is a little bit more, right, where particularly we want to look at the set pieces and maybe penalties in some cases to kind of see if anything jumps out there. But similarly, we do want to see teams that concede a lot of goals from open play, and then see if the opposition team score a lot of goals from open play. And again, it's unfortunate on the open play side of things. Is that the background of it that's kind of done a slash through Tottenham? That's weird, isn't it? That wasn't
Yeah.
particularly
Oh,
helpful.
yeah. Oh,
I
no.
thought, I thought my screen was genuinely broken for a second there, and then I've just sort of leant forward. Uh, uh, yeah, but looking at it, so if we're looking at the teams that have the most, City have 16 goals scored from open play. Brighton have conceded 7th, which is, pretty decent. Not that many. Brentford have scored 14. Bournemouth have conceded 9 from there. Yep, it is fine as a matchup, but again, nothing jumping out and going, that's really, really good. On the flip side, though, Ipswich have conceded 18 goals from open play. The problem is Spurs seem to score a lot of goals on the counter attack, and they've been set up that way by Ange this season.
Yes, they have, yeah.
And what I find quite weird is because of the way that Ipswich build, where they will overcommit, but only with Leif Davis,
Yeah.
they don't concede a counter attacking goal because they still have 4 players behind the ball. They just have a massive space on that left hand side.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that the stats will say Ipswich don't concede goals on the counter attack. They do. It's just it wouldn't be classified as a counter attack. It would just be exploiting that space that Leif leaves behind. Set piece wise,
That's what I was trying
again,
to look for.
Southampton and Wolves both concede a lot of goals from set pieces. Both of them
Yeah.
do 7 and 9. So it could be a game, but neither of them score that many from set pieces. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a few things here and there, but there's nothing that sort of again jumps out to me. All of the teams
No.
that have conceded 2 penalties are either up against a team that have scored 1
Oh, really?
or none. Apart from so Brighton have conceded 2 penalties this season, and City have scored 1.
There's not been that many, eh? I think I'd like to see what. I don't know if anyone's keeping track of that's listening to Paul, but how many penalties we got this season and last season? I felt like there was a lot of penalties at this point last season.
Well, that's it. Like, if we actually count through this, what we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 penalties through 10 game weeks. So that's
I mean,
1.5 penalties a week.
Yeah. Which, all
Which,
right, you might think is a lot, but it's not. It's 10 games. You know what I
so
mean?
the
It's
interesting thing is, like, obviously we factor our decisions to an extent on a 50-50 call with players sometimes to bring in that penalty taker.
yeah,
And there's arguments here that if you're looking at Everton, Wolves, Southampton, Ipswich, don't worry about who's on penalties. And I tend to agree that, like, I've left Brighton and Spurs out of that. Neither of them have had a penalty this season yet, but I've left them out of it mainly because, well, neither of them have scored a penalty. I don't know if either of them have had a penalty actually, but I leave them out of
who's
it
that?
because
Brighton?
and Spurs.
Don't think so. No.
I don't remember anyone missing one, but the reason why,
No.
like, for Brighton and Spurs, when I look at them, I do think of players like Son, Brennan Johnson, Porro, Udogi,
Yeah.
Mitoma, Adingra, Minter, Ruta, all Yao Pedro, all capable of winning a penalty.
Yeah.
When I look at Everton, Wolves, and Southampton and Ipswich, I struggle to tell you who's capable of who's that tricky winger that cuts into the box and is going to throw themselves over a dangling leg.
Yeah, that one that you know. Yeah, that's the thing about Spurs. It's hard to choose which one, you know.
Yeah, so when I look at, like, I personally don't factor penalty takers in from teams that I don't see a route to frequent penalties from. And that's just a personal opinion on it. But that's, one thing I look at here. Whereas I would look at certain things and go, people may not have realised it. And again, stats will be misleading when you see them appear on Sky Sports when it comes to goals scored from like set pieces, etc.,
Mhm.
or from corners, because they include the phase of play. So if a goal is scored by a player crossing the ball in and it's nodded on at the near post and goes out to the edge of the box and the player scores, that would be a goal from the set piece.
Mhm.
What we're looking at here is more that as like kind of like direct from that set piece. And Villa are actually the team with the most now,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is again, it's only 5. A lot of teams have had 4. Um, Palace, Everton, Brighton, City, Leicester, Forest. So it does seem like teams are doing pretty well at scoring from set pieces, unless you're Fulham.
Yeah, I seen that.
Fulham are pretty much an open play team this season.
Yeah.
Pretty much exclusively that. I guess the only other team that comes close to that is arguably Newcastle.
Which is, yeah, I thought Anderson might have got a few in there. I don't think he played the first 2 or 3, actually, to be fair to him. But still, yeah, a team like Fulham, you need a few set piece goals in there. You know, like your West Ham's, your Everton's, your Brentford, that kind of thing.
I think
Namely,
the
actually, how
interesting
about
one,
Brentford?
the only final thing I'd add on this slide is if you actually look at West Ham's defensive numbers, they concede goals from all situations.
They're a bit of a mess.
11 goals conceded from open play, 3 goals conceded on the counter attack, 4 goals conceded from set pieces. So when your team's facing West Ham, there's a lot of routes to point against them. Does that mean people should? I guess that's the question, Shane, because it's a debate a lot of people have had. Some people still have
Hmm.
DCL. Who do you think they should opt from if you were kind of looking at this week? Or would you, if you were looking at this
Strand
week and
Larson?
seeing those West Ham stats, would you potentially go on then one more week, having done that on the Southampton one and giving it one more week?
Absolutely not. I can't believe people brought DCL in. All right, I know last season he played 34 games. I think that's the first. I'll have a look back at the stats. I think that's the first season he's played all games or most games in. I just don't. DCL doesn't do enough. He's. I think we overrate him probably because he was a young Englishman hyped up. I don't overly rate him. Now, listen, don't like people go in the attack. Oh, what about that? You know, he's okay. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's not as good as everybody thinks. I think this weekend I would probably just move straight to Strand Larson. I was close to bringing either Strand Larson in for Cunha, but you know, penalties for Cunha. That's brought me in. I just go straight to Strand Larson. Southampton. I know Wolves are away and they've been playing well, but they'll score goals against Southampton. And Strand Larson will be involved with Cunha, namely. You know, one or the other.
Yeah, I just still think Wolves are shocking at scoring goals
No,
from
no,
the
they
side.
are. They are. But at the back, I suppose, at the back, you know, they're still scoring goals.
But they're
But
not.
who would you move
But,
to though?
but people say they're scoring goals. Like they've scored 2 goals like twice. They're not going to score more than 2 goals in a game very often at all. They've got 14 goals in 10 games. That's 1.4 a game. It
Yeah,
doesn't
but at
excite
least
me at all. It doesn't
with
at all.
Wolves, though, at least you know, like in outlet terms, it's probably going to be Strand Larson or Cunha type sketch. They don't score loads and loads, but you could probably hedge your bets that they'll be involved. Who would you go
Sarabi
to?
is back. Sarabi is back.
Yeah, he's never. I mean,
By the
he's
way, I've
okay,
just
but
the notification that we just had there, and thank you for saying that, Combe, about I think it was Combe about we're missing one of these. Going to try this instead. There we are. Now you got the Arsenal Chelsea ones. It was slightly
see.
cut off on there.
Who would you go from DCL?
Honestly, it would be anyone apart from a Wolves player. So I would still be very interested in Raul Jimenez. I'd still be interested in
Yeah.
Danny Welbeck, Yao Pedro, Johan Visser. I'd have all of them. Chris Wood still. I'd have all
What
of them
about
above
Vardy?
Wolves.
What about roll back the seasons for a Jamie
No,
Vardy?
no chance of that. But I'd have all of those players. Personally, I'd have all of them above a Wolves player because they play for better teams with better managers and better chances to score.
Yeah,
What
I
comes
get you.
next? The Wolves win or Christmas?
Yeah, I'll
Christmas.
put that on.
Christmas.
Yeah, I knew
If
you
we're
might
saying
do
in the
that.
Premier League, then I'll say Christmas.
They'll win this weekend. They'll beat Southampton, man.
I've got
Well,
a
we'll
friendly
see.
wager. I've got a friendly wager with Az that Wissa will outscore Cunha, and Az
Oh
wins.
yeah.
In fact, I'll show you. 'Cause I already have it, so it means nothing. Az wins a signed Matoma shirt.
Oh, that's a big bet.
But as I've already shown, I found it in the bin in my house, so it's pretty worthless. That Brighton nonsense. But yeah, look, it's look, I get it, and I'm not going to continue to be anti Wolves in terms of things. I just genuinely think there are better attacking options, and I think when you do have someone like Sarabia coming back, if I was forced, gun to my head, if I was forced to pick a Wolves option as an attacker, at this point I'd be more Strand Larson, because the way I see it now is that he's got Sarabia and Cunha creating for him. So Cunha will continue to be on most set pieces, etc., and do okay on the bonus points. I get the argument that he is very good for bonus points, but the player who normally gets max bonus points is the player from the winning team. And when Wolves are very rarely on the winning team, I do think that does limit the ceiling of those bonus points.
Yeah, I can see him getting a penalty this weekend against Southampton.
Onion asked what I get in return if I asked as that, and he said that he'll start responding to my WhatsApp messages rather than leaving me on red for months at a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got a 3-year-old. Look, I've created a final slide on here just to kind of have the XGs and goals for each matchup. I've just done bold and non-bold beforehand. Just again to see if there's anything that we can see that matches up here, to see teams that are good for goals and teams that concede a lot of goals. And yeah, look, West Ham and Everton concede lots of goals. Wolves are massively conceding more goals than they should, which is worrying. 27
Which
goals.
shows they're not as bad as what you think, Kieran. I know you got a vendetta.
I know they're worse. They're worse. They've conceded 27 when they should have conceded 21.6.
Oh yeah, so it's actually worse. Yeah.
Significantly worse. 25% worse. More than that.
Quick maths, like it.
Worse. So
30% worse is that? Yeah. What else jumps out at you? Yeah, it's a great table actually.
We're continuing to see Liverpool's goals conceded catching up with their XG with Alisson out.
Yeah,
it was a long way away from that beforehand. They're still good, right? They're still letting almost five less goals, but every week that Alisson remains out, that gets closer.
Yeah,
and it just shows the quality of Alisson. Outside of that, I guess that Leicester are conceding 6 goals less than they should have, which is decent. And Man United just continue to perform at about 50% of their XG in scoring. 9 goals against an XG of 17.7.
Well, just like Palace. 7 goals and 14 XG.
Here's a trivia question then. Which 2 players are the worst underperformers for XG?
Haaland?
No. Haaland massively overperformed at the start of the season, so he's still overperforming against it, right?
So basically, he should have scored more goals.
Yeah.
Danny Welbeck?
No. Think of the teams you just named there, Shane. Come on. There was a massive clue.
Oh, right. Mateta?
No.
I'm trying to think what
okay, who does everyone own from Crystal Palace and then he's done nothing? And who has everyone owned from Man U and he's done nothing?
I was going to say Zaha. Eze.
Yep.
And United. What, Bruno?
Yep.
Is it?
They're the worst performers for XG, and their teams are the worst performing teams against their XG. Makes sense,
Which
right?
might change soon. I had Bruno for I think 2 game weeks at the start. He might be coming back, mate.
Look, we'll do something on Amorim maybe over the international break.
Yes, I think we should. Yeah, we will do that actually.
And we'll talk about it a bit more because there's so many different ways it can be played and there's so many options for his players. The thing I'd say is there's not much he needs to do to bear with me, okay? To get Højlund to play similar to Gyökeres, right? Not to perform like him, but to play similar. And that changes literally his body positioning when he receives the ball and the positioning of his teammates. That is a massive difference between Amorim and what Ten Hag's been doing with him. But I then get confused because Mazraoui appeals to me as a right wing back.
Yes.
But then I can't imagine Dalot playing left wing back. Garnacho,
why not?
I can't imagine playing a support striker. So maybe
you mean just because he's been playing that position? Is that what you mean?
In an Amorim system, he prefers a left footer on the left hand side as a wing back.
Okay.
Whereas Dalot will cut in, right? And when he's got two number 10s behind a striker, you kind of need that width from your wide wing backs.
Yeah.
Now, this season it's not quite been the same on the right hand side, and again we'll go into it sort of in the winter one. But
Yeah.
I like Man U options. I just don't know which ones. I'm not sure on Bruno still though, because my issue with Bruno's not been the positions he gets into, etc. It's the underlying stats behind his stats. And by that, I mean, I've seen people say Bruno's taken the most shots in the last 2 game weeks or second most shots. He's had one on target and it was the penalty. My issue isn't the fact he's taking shots. My issue is this is the worst season he's had for shot to shot on target percentage. He's completed more passes than he ever had. Cool. This is his worst season for pass percentage completed in the final third. So, like, the stat behind the stat actually goes, there's a concern there. Now, that to me doesn't indicate positioning, that indicates performance. And performance is something he can work on and change. But the way he's striking the ball is just
Definitely.
different right now. It's just different.
Yeah, see, Cob's got a question there, mate. Do you think he'll play a back four until the January transfer window where he can bring in some players that he wants to
He
play
doesn't
his
really
way?
need any, right? Because he's got the centre backs. Like, look,
Yeah.
De Vrij and Martinez are just locked, right? Euro should get that third spot when he's fit. But in the meantime, Harry Maguire can play the central centre back position as a
Yeah.
stopgap. Victor Lindelof can play the right centre back position till Euro's fit as well. So he's got the options there. And he does have good enough players in Mazraoui on the right wing back. He'll want massively. And I think he will genuinely switch between Garnacho and Dallo for a few weeks as his left wing back. Because again, he's got the most important player in his team for his impact when he moves is Manuel Ugarte. Because Ugarte was signed by PSG after one incredible season
Yes.
at Sporting under Amorim,
Yeah.
right? So he knows the Amorim system and he will be part of
Of course
those
he was,
that
yeah.
drop back to defend against that. So he has the right players in there in Kobe Mainu and in Ugarte to play the two in front of the back 3/5.
Yeah.
So I don't like he's been brought in for a reason, and it is to implement the tactics of Vision and his style of play and what he believes in the philosophy. And he's shown a willingness this season in changing one of his players from the season before to who plays centrally this and the profile of that player, and doing the same on the right wing back position as well, because he's actually allowed his right wing back to invert this season. So he has the flexibility, but his overall idea and how he likes to build from the back is very much based on relying on having the 3 centre backs, the goalie, and the 2 double pivots. Actually, there we are. Bringing it
Oh,
back to the
hey.
But yeah, look,
And he's.
for me, it's just the way. Like they've got 3 great fixtures in Leicester.
I was
Someone
just
else.
Kieran. This is why we do. I've just brought it up on my phone. They've got well 5 in total. So yeah, they've got Leicester and Ipswich in the league. Then they've got Bodo Glint in the Europa League, and then they've got Everton back in the Prem. And then it's harder Arsenal, Forest. But it's a good time to take over with those 4 fixtures, isn't it?
No, exactly. Okay, sweet. Well, look, just so I've noticed the time and when I've got to finish up on.
Yes.
We're going to jump back into the final things. And look, let's just go into our teams for this week, Shane.
What I will do is what I will do, just finish off on that, is on Amarin. If you don't listen to Trans Euro Express, it's on Talksport. Listen to it. It's on every Sunday as a podcast now. It's fantastic. It goes through all the main leagues, all the big leagues, and it'll talk through all the players, the situation in the league. It's fantastic. It gives you a snapshot of basically world football in an hour. It's amazing. And
also,
he says that. Go on.
I was just going to say, like, I think it was about 4 hours after my thread on X on Amarim. Beat him finally. Lawrence Alcott's done a video. He's actually done 4 videos now on the Amarim system and how it can impact different players. There are a lot of things he says that actually almost identically echo my views. There's a couple of things that I disagree with, right, in terms of players wise, but in terms of the tactical application, he is fantastic at how he can present that with the visualizations due to the connections and all of the things he's got there. So I would put it up there in terms of one of the best if you just want to get a bit of a feel for how he sees it. And actually, he does echo the similar Dallo left-hand side versus Garnacho view that I have, where it's kind of a tricky one. You just don't know on those kind of things.
But I think what will happen in normal, like as in real football and FPL, is there'll be players coming back into our thinking, especially United, that we haven't thought about that because they talked about on Transjuro Express about how his coaching ability to bring players up is phenomenal. There was some players at Sporting that were down and out, weren't getting used at all, and he turned them right around. So
Yeah.
United have got we've always said this, they've got the players to do it. Ten Hag for me is a shocking manager, even just a coach. There's not one player that I
It's the
think
man
he's
manager
improved it.
part. Like
Yeah,
Amarim's
like a
made it
pet, put
clear
his
as
arm
well.
around and
Amarim's made it clear for him it was always his dream to be United. So that's going to resonate with the players because when a manager comes in and says this was literally my dream, then
and
they
did
will
you
want
see?
to.
Did you see that last game that he done during which actually he beat City at home 4-1
Massive.
in his last game? Did you see that massive banner that they unfurled? Like
Yeah.
again, if you've not watched it, just Google it. Have a look at the massive banner they unfurled and the reaction to him leaving. It's like genuinely, it's like someone had like died. People were crying, and that just shows you what kind of manager he's got. But it's exciting times for United, which I kind of hate to say, but Gary will be pleased for that anyway.
No, exactly.
Right, we'll go to
Right.
teams and then finish predictions, mate.
That's it. So
Teams.
Shane, we haven't done predictions this week, unfortunately, because we won't have time. Because I am looking at the time and getting a little bit. Oops, better get
We'll
back
put
on
them
with
up.
stuff.
I'll
Put them
write
up.
them down. We'll put them up.
So Shane, any moves this week?
So again, if you're listening to the pod, I've got Raya, Keane, Alexander-Arnold, Lewis, Embuemo, Palmer, Buonanotte, Saka, Salah, Cunha, and Evan Nielsen. Bench, Conser, Robertson, and Stuart. Who doesn't play. In terms of moves, there's one Arsenal player who's coming out. Well, there's one Arsenal player. I've only got one Arsenal player.
You got two.
Oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah, but you can tell him out. So Saka's going to come out, mate. I don't think he will still get points over these next few, but
I
it'll
can
be
guess who
tough
you're bringing in as well now off of
and
that.
it'll be sparse. Go on, have a guess.
Oh, actually, see, logic would say you should bring in Bruno, but you're bringing in a Spurs player, aren't you?
No, you got it
You
right.
are bringing in Bruno.
Bruno's got to come in. I just think the bounce that they'll get from him, he'll be one of the main people within the team, and I just think he'll get more points than Saka over the next 3 and 4. So that's why I'm changing him. And I might also take a -4 and get Dallo. My defense is a bit of a nightmare.
See,
I think I'll probably Robertson.
I honestly, on the defense, I think your defense is fine for this week. Like, I just genuinely would
Maybe
hold
this
off
week,
on
yeah.
the defenders just for now, just
That's a good
because.
shout. That's a good
But
shout, actually.
if Amarin does come in and decides it's Mazraoui on that right wing back spot and doesn't start, like I do think Dallow's more likely, by the way, to play the left wing back spot. I definitely think it's way more likely, but I think you might end up wanting Mazraoui. Do you know what I mean? As in, I think it's one of those
Yeah.
where you might go, "That's the one that I wish I'd got," and you never want to do the switch between teams, particularly United.
And we spoke before. We spoke before, just before this pod, about how sometimes, or quite often this season, if you do nothing, you'll have more transfers in your hand and you'll probably get more points. So, no, that's a good outlook, mate. And do you know what? Actually, in hindsight, I think I'll probably leave it because I've
The
taken
defense
a
is fine. Like,
-4.
yes, there's a chance Lewis doesn't start, so you get. I imagine you'll rearrange your bench and ideally get Robertson off the bench, and then if he doesn't start, you get Konsa, right? But
Yeah.
having that transfer for the extra week in a situation like this going into the international break is probably better because
No, you're right. You're
if you
right.
brought Dallo in, you'd still fancy Leicester to score, right?
Oh, 100%.
So you're playing
And
for the upside.
Buonanotte, hopefully. But
Who are you starting
yeah,
goal?
I'll see. It's difficult because if I move Raya out, then I've got Fabianski who's up against Keane. But I think I'll probably bring
Yeah, but he's up.
Fabianski in.
Keane's a defender. You're not getting him up against your attacker. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, I think. Oh, do you know what? I think Michael Keane might score this weekend.
But you'll
Hopefully he
take
doesn't. I
that.
can clip that. But yeah, I'll change him for Fabianski, which is good. It's always good to have two playing goalkeepers, which he wasn't for the last 7. So I'll probably swap him on and just because I can see Chelsea scoring, right? Even an Arsenal fan, you can probably see him scoring now. I mean, it's away.
But
Yeah, I could see.
So I do tend to think that Arsenal defend better, as I've always said, against better teams. Like City was away, right, and it took them a lot to score both of the goals. So and even Liverpool at home, it's tough. So I think Arsenal do step up defensively in games like this. I just don't know. I might start Raya if I was in your position.
I
Like,
mean,
here's
it
the
does
thing.
get save points.
If I had Sanchez versus Fabianski, I'd start Fabianski, right? because I think Arsenal are more likely to score than Chelsea are, but that may be biased. But it's also because I genuinely think if you look back at when Arsenal play tougher teams over the last year or so,
Yeah.
they concede less goals. That's when they are more disciplined in defence. It's when we play weaker opposition that we tend to slip up.
That's a good thing this season. Well, I wouldn't say good thing, but there's hardly any clean sheets. So those, for me, the defensive decisions, oh, you still want to think about it and make the right decision, but they're not as important as the attacking one, I think, or at least so far anyway. But yeah, that's my team. I think Buonanotte at some point will come out. I do like him and he's involved heavily. I just feel like he's got a red card coming. He's young, he's raw, he wants to very emotional on the pitch. He wants to put himself about, and I can feel a red card coming.
He still
But
plays.
he's cheap enough.
Concern, isn't it? He's cheap, but there are other players. All right, we'll quickly jump into mine. So Shane, I went early again. I did a double
like
move.
this.
I did a
double pivot move. You done the double pivot move
on Saturday once again.
Oh, was this?
I am enjoying that because once I make my moves, I'm then no longer fussed about anything during the week. It's not reactionary. It's more. So I tend to have a list of players I've been keeping an eye on or certain moves.
Yeah.
And I plan to do some of these moves next week. But then I saw enough to go, no, I'm happy with how they match up this week.
What you got?
Erling's gone.
Oh, yeah, baby. Go on.
And as has Dwight McNeil.
Oh.
And we have bought in Mohamed Salah for Dwight McNeil and Alexander Isak for Erling Haaland.
That's a great shout, that Isak shout, I've been looking at him this week and he's
now goes against everything I've just said against Forest for this particular week, but I couldn't get to Salah without downgrading Haaland, right? And there was no point going for another striker when I like Isak from every week moving forward. So from game week 12, and I'll kind of run through it quickly to give my thinking. So it's fine this week. I don't think he hauls, but I think he could get a return. I'd argue I actually don't expect him to get a return this week, but I'm not starting Liam Delap over him. I'm just not. I was going to say maybe I will. I'm not. But after that game, they then play West Ham at home, Palace away, Liverpool at home, not great, Brentford away, Leicester at home, Ipswich away. So in that busy Christmas period, they've got very nice fixtures.
Yeah.
And Isak is playing pretty much every game. So I just had confidence in it. So look, I like my team for this week. I am starting Fabianski in goal with a back three of Mikalenko, Ait-Nouri and Trent. Midfield of Foden, Mbumo, Salah, Palmer, and at the moment, Mitoma against City, because I do fancy a goal on.
Which I quite like that, though. I was thinking that at first you're like, oh, you don't want matchup. You know what I mean? If it's Forest v Liverpool, you want to choose. Well, that's a bad example, but, Liverpool, Southampton, you want to have just Liverpool players. But the Foden, Mitoma, I like that because I can see goals from both sides. So actually, in hindsight, it's actually good.
And I've benched Lewis as well, right? So it's not eating into my upside.
Yeah. I mean, Ait-Nouri sticks out to me this weekend. I mean, I said I wanted Dallo, but I might have to take a -4 for Ait-Nouri because.
See, Ait-Nouri I could understand a bit more because you don't have long-term risk on it.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's worth a -4 because I don't think he outperforms your defenders by that this week. But over the next 3 weeks, I think he probably does, right? And that's how you're not looking at. It's great if it makes it up in that one game week. But if you were going to have to use it as a -4 anyway, because it's a transfer different to what your initial plan was, and it's not a free transfer at any point in the future, then you may as well go on it for Southampton at home. But I still fancy Southampton to come away with something there. All right, sweet. Well, look, that is my team, mate. And that's kind of the end of everything we've got today, because more than anything else, I've got to actually run and get back on with stuff. The nightmare of
real life, of growing up life.
Although, look, Shane, if you want to stay on and continue speaking with people, because I know there's people like Colm and Geddy that are in here talking, then I can.
What I'll do, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go solo, and I'll do a wee Q&A, and I'll do my predictions as well. And then I'll get your predictions, and we'll put them out. And I can do predictions.
You know what? I might type mine in the chat as well, so that then you can read mine out as we go. Because I'll be able to type stuff. I just can't stick on here anymore, unfortunately.
I like that, mate. Well, listen, we will let you get on with normal life stuff, which it sounds boring, right? I mean, God, life stuff over FPL.
And look, the presentation's still here for you to flick through if anyone wants you to go back to any other slides, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. Right, thank you very much. Again, if you don't follow Kieran, FPL Discomfort, make sure you do. Fantastic threads all the time. The output he puts in It's not only for the show, but for his Twitter is fantastic. So make sure you do follow him. Right, we're going solo. It's me in the chat. I like it. Any questions you got, any pertinent points, put in. We'll have a good little discussion, and we'll also go through predictions. So let's start. Again, if you tell me what moves you're making, it'd be quite good to know, and it might give me a wee idea for my team as well, which is always good. Right, we'll get the predictions up. So let me get a little paper and pad. Do you know, I love a good paper and pad. Is anybody else, right? A bit off topic, but I love you go to the shop, get in your shop, and you're thinking, oh, I'll get a bit of this, get a bit of that, get a little snack. You go through the stationery bit, and you think, you know what? I could do with a nice little pen and pad. Or is it just me? Maybe it just gets that feeling. There's nothing like, penning a new piece down on a new pad. Right, here we go. So like saying, Kieran's going to do it as we go along. I'll write mine. Everyone else in the chat would be fantastic if you join in and you tell me. Usually, me and Colm are quite similar in terms of score, but he always does really well. So does Onion, so does Geddy, and quite a few in the chat. They're always really, really close. So really, me and Kieran just nick their ideas and just say we're really good at. What's Onion saying? Just you, Shane. It's 2024. It's notice on phones these days. Yeah, but Onion, being Scottish, we don't like to spend money. I've just got like a Nokia. What were the old Nokia phones? 3210, 3210, 3220. I don't even think you could put notes on them. I don't know. It's something just more cathartic about writing down. I kind of like it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, listen, you've got everything on your phone. So that's one. Colm saying moves are dependent on Palmer's injury. Yeah, again, I've been a bit ill this week, so I've not kept so much eyes on it. And I tend not to do much during the start of the week. I tend to wait to give it a bit of time, unless I'm sure that I'm definitely going to make that move and that individual is probably not injury prone. I will, but very rarely. So I will have a look at Palmer's injury. I don't think it's that bad. He's usually fit all the time. And with no European footy, well, not for him anyway, makes a big difference. Geddy, do the electricity up in Scotland? That sounds like Scottish grammar, that, mate. We do, mate, but someone's got to run outside on the wheel for it. So, which someone is while I'm on the show. So that's a good thing. Right, let's go into the fixtures, okay? What we will do is we will put this up. Let's see if I can use this wee slide. Go. Right, so you can see the fixtures there. That's the short matchup, and we'll just go through. Okay, so Brentford v Bournemouth. Again, Brentford at home, so that does make a difference because they've been scoring a lot of goals at home, and very, very strong. Bournemouth, quite the opposite. At home, very strong. You've seen beat City last week. Really, really good performance. I like what they're doing there. And they're away to Brentford. So all signs point to a Brentford, not a battering, because Bournemouth don't overly get battered all the time, but definitely a Brentford win. So there's already, I'll put it in here, but thinking a draw. So 2-2, Geddy's gone for, Com's gone for 1-1. Anyone else in the chat, just chuck them in. Again, if you listen back on the pod, again, you just write down what you think you've got and let me know, comment, and that would be fantastic. Yeah, I can see it. You think a bit of a draw, and it's got a bit of a draw feel. Brentford, Bournemouth, a bit of a daldry, boring one. I don't think it will be, actually. In terms of score, listen, Brentford can't stop scoring more than 2 at home. Onions has gone 1-0 Brentford, and I kind of tend to agree with Onions there. In terms of clean sheet, though, you know what, you got me thinking, because I do think Brentford have been... Usually they're a little bit more defensively secure. This year they haven't, because Pinnock's been out and they've had a few other injuries. Hickey, who will come back, big Scottish legend, he'll come back soon and he'll show that midfield, that defence up, and they will get clean sheets. And yeah, originally I think I was going to say Bournemouth score because they've played really, really well and Brentford are conceding a few. At first I kind of wanted to put like a 3-1 because there's a lot of goals being let in. It's kind of between a 3-1 or a 2-0. What do you think I should put, chat? I think we'll go for you know what? I think we'll go for 3-1. If Kieran's listening, he'll put his in the chat and we'll see what you think. But yeah, I'll go for a 3-1. So most of us are a draw or a Brentford win. Not many see Bournemouth winning, which shows us the stark difference between them home and away. Cool. Right. Next one. Palace, Fulham. Again, on the forefront, you think, Fulham will take this. But again, the Fulham aren't that good on the road. They're okay, but they're not doing too much to make me take notice. Similarly, Palace. Listen, I said pre-season, Palace weren't the best. I didn't think they would be the best. Massively underperforming on their expected goals. Expected goals is 14 of them. They scored 7. And it's just a setup, especially with Elise going. That's a huge loss. Because if you're trying to track down Elise and Eze, it's difficult. If you want to double up on one or two, you can't. So yeah, it's just not working. And I know Eze's a great player. It's just not coming in well. So I could maybe see a bit of an upset here, even though Palace are playing really, really poor. I just think some games Fulham go missing, especially on the road. And for that, I'm actually going to go 1-0 Palace here, which will probably shock a lot of people. Getty going 2-1 Fulham, Onions 0-0. Colm gone 2-1 Fulham as well. I think the goals, I think we'll go for Palace 1-0 there. Put that in. Cool. No Eze. Oh, yeah. No Eze. It doesn't really make a big difference. I actually wasn't thinking in my thinking to score. I think Mateta will get one, or maybe a Guehi header, something like that. But I think they'll play so defensively and they'll just try and play for that 1-0. And I think it will pay off, actually. So we'll go 1-0. Next one, West Ham, Everton. This is quite an interesting game, actually. Dyche will go. He'll play Dyche ball because he's away from home. West Ham, they've had a little bit of an uptick. I can see it being, it's probably going to be like a 1-1, 2-1. Which way, though? That's the question. Are Everton going to get back in track after that loss against Southampton? It's a difficult one. Yeah, help me out, chat. What you got? Oh, look at that. Calm. Yeah, I kind of think the same. 1-1. West Ham 1-0. Both keepers need to pick one. Yeah. I mean, I've got Fabianski, but I'm trying not to allow me to affect my decision because I've got Michael Keane as well. So I think what I'll probably do is I'll probably play both of them and hope one get a clean shot. If not both. Both would be fantastic. 2-0. Geddy says DCL to flop again. I can't believe people ever got DCL in ever, mate, to be honest. He's I can't. He's poor. He's a poor player. I will go. It's Dice Balls away from home. I go 1-0 Everton. 1-0 Everton. Kieran prediction slide 13. Here we go. Bam. Added the stage. Oh, here we go. Right. So just to recap, if you listen to the pod, Kieran's gone for 3-2 Bournemouth to beat Brentford. That's big. Fulham Palace 2-1. Fulham. Yeah, quite a lot of people put that. West Ham Everton 1-1. Yeah, I've gone for 1-0. Wolves Southampton. Here we go. Oh, he's got Southampton to win. He hates Wolves. He absolutely hates Wolves. I will go. I think this would be a bit of shock because, all right, Wolves haven't been playing that good. Southampton beat Everton last week. So people think, they'll be quite tight. There'll be an uptick. And because of that, I think they'll push forward a little bit more. And I think they'll get caught out by Wolves quite a few times, who, when they want to turn it on, they're pretty poor at the back, never concede. They never don't concede. But when they put it together, they've got some smooth movement through the middle. I think they're going to catch up Southampton a lot. Do I think they keep a clean sheet at home? You know what? I think they do. And I think it's a big score. And yes, this is what I'm talking about. So this is good because it's feeding into what I'm thinking. Combs put 3-2, right? Goals galore. I can kind of see the goals galore, right? This is more what I'm talking about. Geddy. 4-0. Not quite Geddy, but I feel you. 3-0. I think there's going to be a penalty in there as well. And I think it'll be a bit of batter. And I think this is maybe the game that we go, you know what? Southampton, they are really, really bad. I still can't believe it. But yeah. So I'm going with 3-0. What's Kieran saying? Remember to like, yeah. Remember to like, share. Love you all. PS will suck. Yeah, just a reminder again, if you're listening, hope you're enjoying it. Like, if you can subscribe. If you listen on Spotify, leave a rating. Hopefully 5 stars. You think it's good? We think it's good. We think it's a good pod. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And share. And it, it allows us to interact with everybody. Okay, so we've done the Wolves game. Now on to Brighton City. Yeah, this is a tough one because I can see both games, both sides scoring, and maybe a number of times. He's gone 2-2. You know what? I can see it being 3-2 to Brighton. That's right. I said it. I think City are going to get beat again. And I did call a bit of the downfall. It's not a downfall because City are still a class team, but getting battered 4-1 away from home to a Sporting. Listen, fantastic Sporting. I completely get that. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling. I think this period could lose them a league. I know any period could, but I think they do. Geddy's going 3-1. Haaland Hattie. Yeah, probably because loads of people have took him out, mate. I'd love it. Like, I knew I should have kept him, but they've taken him out because they see the light. There's more balance in the teams, and someone like Cunha might beat him this weekend. But yeah, I do feel like City will score a lot of goals. Yeah, I've gone for a bit different. Man City 3-1. Last week for Haaland to impress me. Yeah, I get that. City 5-0. Yeah, Haaland, he needs to turn it on. He can turn it on whenever he wants. But, I mean, look at the slides earlier that we did see. Brighton concede a lot through the middle and City score a lot through the middle. It's just, they're not clicking. And I just don't know who's going to start. If I know Foden was going to start in the 10 and he was on it a bit, I'd probably go a City win and Foden with a few. But, yeah, I think we go a 3-2. It'd be fantastic. Oh, just a nice one for a little Friday. FPL man. If you don't follow him, by the way, make sure you go and follow him. Fantastic threads. Really, really good account. I interact with him almost on a daily basis. Fantastic guy. He says, love the content. Keep it up. Thank you very much, Mr. K man. Right. So let's do it. So Brighton 3-2. All right. That's what I'm going to go for. Next, Liverpool City. Again, another tough game. It feels like Liverpool have had quite a lot this week. I did have a look midweek. I know they won 4-0 in the Champions League, but I forgot they beat Leverkusen. All right, they're at home, but that, Leverkusen, they're not the team they were last year. Still a huge winner. So Liverpool Villa. I tend to think Liverpool will take this. They're at Anfield. Anfield is so strong. They had the best home record last season, and so far they've had the best home records this season. Kieran's gone 4-1. I don't know about 4, but they are on a bit of a roll. I think it'd be quite close. Yeah, Geddy, Com's gone 2-0. Geddy's, he's a similar ilk though. Geddy's gone 3-1. Liverpool on fire. Yeah, it says a lot for form. If the team's on a bit of a hot one, 3-1. I think I'll be a bit biased because I've got Trent and Robertson's probably going to come in and play. I'll go for a clean sheet and I will go for 2-0. Same as Com. Okay. United Leicester. Okay. As Kieran said, they've already played him in the league. And I think actually he's got the same score. 5-2 that they beat them in the league the other night. I don't think it'll be 5-2. However, I do think they will score quite a lot of goals. It's Ruud's last game. He went to go out with a bang, so he play quite attacking. They're at home. They've had a massive lift. I think I see them score 4. And do they concede? Do you know what? I don't think they do concede. I don't think they do. I think they're strong. I think the lick at the back will just command that back line. Do I go 4? Do I go 3? 4 might sound harsh, but I'm going to go 4-0 United. What do we think on that? Colm. Oh, sorry. Geddy's gone 2-1. Never make it easy yet. Colm's gone 3-1. Yeah. I think, do you know what? I think it's all going to start clicking. That shadow of Ten Hag's gone, and I think they put a good showing and people start jumping on their assets. Not to say they haven't, because they have. And this is why I want to get Bruno this weekend, because probably a pen comes up and I can see them playing really, really progressive, really high. Leicester make a lot of mistakes at the back, and I think it's going to be a big score. But yeah, Geddy, never make it easy. I know they don't. It's United, but that's the old United. You're back. So we'll go 4-0. What's next? Forest again. Forest v Newcastle. Quite a tough game, actually. Like Kieran was saying, the third in the league, which no one's really been talking about them too much. Newcastle, fresh off that 1-0 against Arsenal. Again, it's a difficult one to call. Newcastle been poor away from home, really poor. So it says to me it's going to be quite a low-scoring game here. Kind of thinking about 1-0 either way. Oh, look at that. 1-0 either way. Big Com bumps up with a Nottingham Forest 1-0. Exactly what I'm thinking. Geddy, yeah, again, 2-1. Be close. Thinking now, I think the inclusion of Isaac back, he's always involved and he always lifts the team. And I think this is maybe one, maybe I'm just trying to change opinions and views, but maybe this is one that Newcastle turn it on a little bit with Isaac back and we think, oh, Forest, yeah, they are finding their feet now and they will take a few batterings this week, this season. Not that they will get battered, but I think it will be a 2-0 Newcastle win. I think Newcastle get back on track and Forest will start to get taken down a peg. Though I love the regeneration of them. It's good to see them, our older clubs, being back up the table. Love to see it. So 2-0 Newcastle there. Last two then. Kieran's gone 1-1 for that. Spurs Ipswich. And actually, Kieran's gone a 3-1 Spurs win, which as an Arsenal fan, it probably pains him to do that. But yeah, so 3-1. I mean, Spurs Ipswich, difficult. Be a lot of goals. Nice and quick. Do you know what? 3-1. Just popped into my head. Same as Kieran, 3-1. Yeah, so, look at that. Look at that. Call 3-1 as well. I hope this is 3-1 now. And then last game, Chelsea Arsenal. Would be quite difficult. Geddy's gone 4-2. Yeah, I can see a game like that. Yeah, Spurs. Last game, Chelsea Arsenal. I think they both score. This is a difficult one. Chelsea 2-1. He said, sorry, Kieran. Yeah. This is a huge game for Arsenal. You know, I think Odegaard's back, though, and I think that makes a difference. I think Arsenal 2-1. I think they just have enough. I think maybe Odegaard makes a difference last half an hour, and he comes up with a winning goal, or at least gets the assist for it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that is me for the day. I'm actually just about to join another pod, Reedy's pod. So do come over. We'll get a little, what do they call it? A little raid. That would be good. Come across. It'd be really good to keep chatting to you. Thank you very much for joining. Again, if you're listening on the podcast and you listen to it back, thanks very much. Remember to, if you want to leave a rate, a little comment, that'd be fantastic. Again, the main thing is we love interacting with you, and that is why we do the show. So thank you very much for joining us. Good luck in this game week. Leave your team up. Put it on the X. Let us know how you get on. And we'll talk during the game week. Have a great day all, and we'll see you later on. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks, Com. Thanks, Geddy. See you later.